The invitation is the second step in the accountability dial. It's where you go when the mention that you made either didn't move things along or you feel like the conversation got lost somewhere along the way. The key thing about the invitation is it's your opportunity to keep the conversation going, to take the example, the specific thing that you noticed, and help that person see how there may be a pattern emerging. When we're watching other people and we're observing them, whether it's at work or at home or some other part of our life, it's easy to forget that we see how other people are behaving and the patterns and the way that they're showing up in the world really clearly. But when it comes to ourselves, we're not so good at it. It's not so easy to see the patterns and how we may be doing multiple things that are connected. And the thing to remember is with the invitation, you're incrementally moving through the stages of accountability. And in this case, helping somebody see the pattern of behavior that might be emerging so they still have an opportunity to do something about it. It's helping somebody see that what might look like isolated instances in different contexts is actually part of a pattern that can be useful for that person to find a meaningful growth opportunity. There are all kinds of studies out there that point to tone and the way we show up to a conversation as having such an outsized impact on whether that conversation is effective or not. It's not so much in the words that we use, but in the way that we use them and the place inside of us from which they come. So in this stage in the invitation, like all of the stages, don't get hung up so much on the specific words, focus on the tone. You're not escalating punitivity. You're not trying to put that person on the spot, but you are surfacing your frustration or concern, again, only in the minimal way that you need to. So you're not using it as an opportunity to say the same thing and to feel like you're repeating yourself. Something is changing, but it's not going from 0 to 60. It's not making a mention once and then escalating it into a really important fire that has to be solved right away. It's your opportunity to see the larger situation that somebody's operating in and how they're feeling about their work or how they're doing the work itself. So let's go back to our example with Jeff and his timesheets, a really simple operational example that most of us have faced at one point or another. So you've made a mention, you said, hey Jeff, you usually turn in your timesheets on time and this week they were late. So let's say a couple more weeks have gone by, 3 more weeks have gone by, and 2 of those 3 weeks they were late. So you know how important that is to your team, but maybe something's going on with Jeff that you don't know about, and maybe he's decided that they're not important for whatever reason. So your opportunity to make the invitation with Jeff is to say, hey, we had that conversation and I kind of assumed it was a one-off, but it's actually happened a couple of times and it's starting to become a pattern and I'm getting a little bit concerned about it. Even though you're noticing a pattern, don't get hung up on your theories or assumptions of why that pattern might be there or why they're behaving this way. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, doesn't really matter. It's your opportunity to demonstrate curiosity by asking questions, by following up, and seeing what responses you get. Here are a few tips to keep in mind when you're using the invitation. This is a private conversation, so if you're in person, find a private place. And if it's happening digitally over email or Slack, make sure it's in a direct communication with that other person. This is not a reprimand. You're not looking to increase your authority or demonstrate that you're the boss. You're just bringing the conversation forward to its next logical step. Point to specific instances, things you've observed in real life, and avoid absolutes. This is an opportunity for self-reflection. You made a mention and it didn't have the desired effect. That's okay. You're bringing the conversation forward and giving your colleague an opportunity to think about something that may be important to them. You could think of the most important job as a leader or manager that goes beyond the actual content of the work is keeping people engaged and having conversations using the accountability dial and going past the mention into the invitation is a clear way to signal how much you care and that you're invested in their growth and you're not going to let the busyness of the day take you away from your goal of becoming a great people leader. Remember, we're only at the second step in the accountability dial, the mention and now the invitation. The invitation is the smallest next step that you need to take to keep the conversation going. You're not trying to end it. You're not expecting immediate change, and you're not expecting that person to have it all figured out right away. Behavioral changes, which is most of the things that you're going to be talking about using the accountability dial, they're not easy to make. The things that we struggle with as human beings, we need time, we need feedback, we need space to reflect in order to change. Sometimes people will be able to take that invitation and the message that you're trying to send, or the feedback you're trying to give, and they'll be able to internalize it and work with it in a productive way. Other times it won't land, and maybe it'll be a half step towards the next conversation. And that's where we're going to go next, the conversation.